Up YouTube? I just wanted to give my take on John Morant. So he's been suspended indefinitely because he flashed another gun. I think it was on his Instagram. Apparently, he was in a bar or a club and he was intoxicated, flashing a pistol. So, what a lot of people I don't think realize, the people who are pro John Morant, they they see it as, oh, he didn't break the law, so why is he being penalized? And the NBA is a business, it's a brand. And, that's something that a lot of people really fail to understand in other areas. Like, for example, if you say some defamatory remarks on Facebook, right? You incite violence and you end up getting pulled off of Facebook. You know, you say, "Oh, there's no freedom of speech nowadays." People don't understand the First Amendment. To be honest with you, when you're on a private platform using their terms of service, they have a right to say, "Hey, we don't want that kind of speech on there," and that's relevant to what the John Morant situation is because John Morant, at the end of the day, is a product in the NBA. And do you think a business would want to have John Miranda as their spokesperson or as their product? I mean, I'm not sure. I think he went through Nike or Under Armour. I don't remember, but they pulled out from their deal with him. And people are saying, "Oh, it's cancel culture." People really don't understand what the First Amendment is. They don't understand what cancel culture is. They don't, accountability. Nowadays, there's not any accountability, right? People don't want any accountability for their actions. Yes, John Morant didn't technically break any law, but, he works for the NBA. He's a brand. You can do what you want, but there's also consequences to your action. I mean, let's say you work at a retail store and you go in there brandishing a gun, right? In your uniform. Let's say you're in an open carry state. Yeah, maybe you can have a gun, but you're on the company time, you're on the company clock, and you're flashing a gun around. You'd get fired, right? Why is it any different? It's really hard for some people to understand the First Amendment. Yes, there's freedom of speech in this country. Yes, you have the right to say what you want, even if you offend other people. Absolutely, you have the right to do that. But when you're on company time or you're on a private platform, yeah, there's accountability. There's consequences to your actions. There's consequences to what you say. So I was always told growing up, hey, you can say whatever you want, but also expect a pushback if you say the wrong things. So this is my honest take on John Morant. I see a lot of people who defend him, saying, "Oh, he's just a kid." I mean, he's 23 years old, and one thing I find peculiar is it's not just the guns, right? It's he beat up a teenager over, I think it was like a pickup game. He went to the mall. I guess his mom was at a finish line, and his mom got into an argument with an employee at this finish line, and she called John Morant to come down there and handle it. And John Morant showed up reportedly with, I think, 9 or 10 goons. I don't remember, but they tried to attack the guy. He locked himself in the stock room, and John Morant was kicking the door. And I just want to say this, right? There are consequences to your action, right? Life is not a fairy tale game, right? But I really want to play this the middle path. because I'm not on the side that's all pro Ja, and I'm not on the side that's all anti Ja. Hear me out. I understand in my personal life where Ja might be coming from, because I had a similar situation. Um, I've never really got personal on my channel, but I feel like I have good subscribers and I always enjoy talking to them. So I'll just tell a story from my personal life. Um, when I was a kid, my mother, she lost custody of me, and I was in foster care. That's how I grew up. And when I became an adult, like I'm talking 18, right? I thought my biological mother would have changed. I thought, oh, we're going to get back together. She's going to be a great mom. Everything will be different. Well, she's in an abusive relationship, right? Now, this is relevant to the Ja Morant story. So, for anyone wondering what I'm talking about, just hear me out. She was in an abusive relationship. And, she used to battle drug addiction. And when I went over to, reconnect with her, I went and saw my biological sister who I hadn't seen in years, and her and I reconnected. We got along pretty well. And I was young and naive, and I really didn't understand how some people can be codependent on abuse, right? Um, how some people, they're willing to take abuse because that's all they know. And I remember I was trying to get my biological mother it's so many years ago. I'm trying to remember. I was trying to get her to come out to eat with my biological sister and I. And I remember her boyfriend on the phone. He was a control freak. He would beat her. Um, he would like, for example, he would lock her in a closet, wouldn't let her eat, stuff like that, right? Just a sociopath. But anyways, I remember he was threatening me. Never met the guy. Never had any interaction. He's just insecure about himself. He's a little cock, right? He said to me, you don't have the balls to face me. He was just threatening me, all because I wanted to take my mom out to eat with my sister and I. And he called my sister a bitch over the phone because he's a control freak. He doesn't want her to have any time with anybody that's not him. And so I ended up finding him. This was years ago. I don't remember. I remember now. I saw him in a parking lot with my mom because he agreed to let my mom see us in a parking lot. Then he dropped my mom off at work because she had to work. And I started following him. And I made a really big mistake in my life. I went because he stopped and he went into a coffee house. And I went in there and I confronted him. And in my mind, I was a hero, right? In my mind, I'm going to beat him up. I'm going to save my mom. My mom is just this innocent victim in this game, right? So I beat him up. And I got in a lot of trouble, And what happened was I got in my car and I fled. But my mom, she threw me completely under the bus. Threw my sister completely under the bus. And I think every boy has that in them. And I can really see where Ja Morant was coming from. Like, two of the stories I've heard is he beat somebody over his mom, right? Guys naturally want to protect their mom, right? And I've heard in psychology there's a condition called uh, a mother, son, husband. Really, if I'm saying it wrong, you can correct me in the comments. Where the son will almost act like the husband in terms of defending her. Some famous people like that you've heard of are like Jim Jones, the rapper, or in this case, I think Ja Morant. And in my case, for me, I thought, hey, I'm going to rescue her, right? But no, she chose to stay with her abuser. Why? Because that's what she gets to live there rent free with him. Um, that's all she knows. So that was a valuable lesson I learned in my life, that you can't change someone else, right? You know, people can sell you the sad story all they want, but you're not going to be able to fix or change them. It's up to them to fix or change themselves. So I think and I don't know Job personally, but I see a lot of what happened to me happen to him, you know? And people are saying, oh, he was raised middle class. What does he know about the struggle? Thing is, you don't know everything in his personal life. Some people are just angry at the world, right? I get I get that he wanted to defend his mom, but here's the thing. I think it's almost a toxic relationship because he has a chance to build generational wealth, something that I would never see in my life, right? And he's blowing it away for stuff like that. And I don't know what his situation, why he wanted to pull out those guns. If he was just intoxicated, yes, it's not good to flash guns when you're intoxicated. You know, God forbid there's an accident, like he shoots someone. And some people, like JJ Redick, are saying it's a racial bias, right? That's why the NBA is cracking down on him. Yes, there is racism in this country. There is systemic racism in this country. But, that doesn't excuse any bad behavior. Like I said, there's accountability. Even what I did, right? When I attacked him, yes, he was an asshole. But I had to deal with the consequences of my action of assaulting him, right? So I want to see Ja Morant, turn this around. I want to see him succeed. But it doesn't sound like he has the right people around him. It almost sounds like his mom and him are in a toxic relationship. That's just my assessment from everything I've read. And until Ja Morant can get out of that cycle of thinking the way I did, it's just going to bring him down. And sometimes the people in your life, your family, the ones who are supposed to love you, right? They're the ones that bring you down. And sometimes generations of, I don't know Ja Morant personally. I don't know if he has generational trauma, but I'm saying sometimes families who have generations of trauma, it's so hard for that next generation to break that. And Ja is at a crossroad here. He's got to turn his life around, you know. And I think he can do it, but to me it just sounds like what I went through, where it's like a toxic family situation. And I always make the joke, I always say, cut the snakes off like Medusa at a supercut. That's something I always say. But Ja really needs to put his foot down and realize, get your mind off of all the negativity. You're not an enforcer, you're a basketball player. It's not worth throwing it away. You have an opportunity to better not only you, but the generations that follow you. So, anyone watching this thinking I'm anti-Ja, no, I'm pro accountability, obviously. There's accountability for your actions, but I also want to see Ja thrive. I want to see him turn it around because I've been there myself. I've made a lot of mistakes. So let me know what your thoughts are down below on the Ja Morant situation. And I appreciate you guys watching. Take care.